The 0-3 Baylor Bears return home today to host number 3 ranked Oklahoma. And it's a big one for the Baylor Bears as they open Big 12 play. We'll get you set for the game. Baylor Game Day starts right now.
They try to shut us down and it ain't gon' slide. Only thing I fear is God and he on my side. That's the confidence I got, cause he got me. That's why I really feel like you can't stop me. That's all you got. Come on with it. That's all you got. You can't stop me. You don't got the power. Shut me down. That's not enough. I'm my biggest problem. You don't got the power. Shut me down. That's not enough. You can't stop me. You're my biggest opponent. You know me, I know you, we know it. Whenever I fail, you always been there to simply remind me of it. You don't see when I'm growing. You don't see where I'm going. You only see in the moment. You know my mistakes. You never let go. You don't got the power. Shut me down. That's not enough. You can't stop me.
Live from Touchdown Alley at McLean Stadium on the campus of Baylor University, this is Baylor Game Day. Presented by Baylor Scott & White and Southwest Sports Medicine, and brought to you in part by Waco Carpet Company, Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac, Texas Professional Exteriors, KWTX News 10, and Fox Sports. This is Baylor Game Day.
And welcome into Touchdown Alley and Baylor Game Day as the Baylor Bears get set to take on OU here at 5:30 tonight at McLean Stadium. All black for Baylor tonight. We did not follow suit. It's too hot out here for that in Touchdown Alley. Pleased to be joined by Terrence Ganaway, as always. No all black for you. I do like the purple tie.
I do too.
You know, all black usually simulates somebody's about to get beaten to death, and there's like a funeral. So I don't know what we're going with today, but I chose purple because it's TCU.
Because you look good.
Yeah. Well, you know, I do what I can, Dan.
Dan Ingham here as always, and I'm glad we're not wearing the black. I'd be dying out here if we were wearing.
I'd rather be wearing polos, but I guess we do look good in the suit.
You do.
Dan's right.
You guys do.
And Julie Hayes, as always, you always look. I mean, I was going to wear that same necklace today.
You
I'm really
were?
glad I didn't.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm glad, because I'd be embarrassed if we had the same
exactly.
thing on. But hey, I was just saying, if you can't tell, there's a nice breeze out here today. What, 94 degrees? It's better than some other games that we have all experienced
I think
together.
you should get a pantsuit. I mean, I think, you know, equality is right here, and we need to all suit up.
Go ahead and write that down.
We'll talk to him after
You know what?
Pantsuit.
Yeah, 2001, that would have worked well.
Yeah. Well,
Thank you, Terrence. I
There
won't
you
be
go.
taking my fashion advice from you, though.
Yeah.
Well, let's get things started tonight. We begin, as we always do, with our opening drive. All right, so there are a lot of issues with Baylor. Terrence, we'll let you go first. What do you think about the Bears today?
You know, I'm just looking at some of these blitzes. You know, sometimes our offensive line, obviously they are very, very young, but you're going to see right here real soon, the center oversets on a zone read play where he knows he doesn't have any backside help because the guy's in a 3 shade. So he knows he's not going to get a double team to be able to climb to the backer. Sometimes it's the O-lineman, and sometimes it's Zach Smith. Zach Smith has to know that he has to audible some plays and get receivers to run hot sights and adjustments just because you have to beat the blitz with the ball. And we haven't done that well on the offensive line, and we haven't done it well with beating the blitz with the ball.
Yeah, they've got to do that today against Oklahoma. Julie?
Well, I mean, everybody knows all eyes are going to be on one person on that field today, and that's Matt Rule. I mean, he's certainly in the hot seat, and we're only talking about, what, the 3rd game of the season? But we had Mac Rhodes here with us on the first game, and we said, hey, do you think that Matt Rule is feeling a lot of pressure to win? I mean, people are understanding that it's going to take some time, but what do you think he's feeling? And he said, hey, I know Matt Rule. Matt Rule's a perfectionist, and he wants to win. What coach wants to go out there and lose? Nobody, right? So you got fans that are kind of, some are saying, hey, we want a winner, and others are saying, hey, let the process play out. So there's just no doubt in my mind that Matt Rule is going to be the person a lot of people are watching today. How does he respond? How does this game go for him? And frankly, I mean, he is playing Oklahoma, but he needs to get a win in McLean Stadium for fans to sort of get behind this new process that he keeps talking about.
Yeah, pretty tall order today, Dan.
All right, for me, it's all about QB production. There hasn't been a lot, frankly, through the first few games so far this year. That's what I'm curious to see what Baylor does today. I want to see if they, there's been a lot of blame to go around in this offense. I don't want to put it all on quarterback play, but look at these numbers right now. Baylor last in the Big 12 in scoring, last in the Big 12 in pass efficiency, 9th in overall passing, 6 interceptions thrown by the quarterbacks to just 7 touchdowns. Offense has to get better. That means O-line's got to play better, running backs, wide receivers, but it's got to start at the quarterback. Whoever it is playing quarterback today has to play better.
And I think for me in the opening drive, we're going to talk about Baker Mayfield a little bit. It comes down, I think, in a large part today to what happens with Baker Mayfield. If Baylor can control him somehow, if maybe they knock him down a few times, sack him a few times, maybe they have a chance to stay in this football game. If Baker Mayfield gets to go play like Baker Mayfield plays on a regular basis, then it is big-time trouble for the Baylor Bears. He has been extremely, extremely good in his time at Oklahoma. We'll talk more about Baker Mayfield in just a few moments. The opening drive brought to you by Toe King. All right, so let's quickly touch on Zach Smith. And you mentioned it. His career, he came in last year in the Oklahoma game, had to take over after Seth Russell got hurt. His career production, and we'll take a look at the numbers, has been okay, but he's still a young guy. They still expect and want more from him in the future.
They think he's pretty good. I've talked to people within the coaching staff and the athletic department. They think he's good. I don't think he hasn't shown yet that he's the quarterback of the future yet. But at some point, you just got to let him go. And I think that's why they decided to make the move. Of course, Anu can't play right now, but he's your guy as long as he can go and just throw him out there and see what he can do.
The alarming part, Terrence, is the 10 interceptions. He's thrown 14 touchdowns in the games that he's played, and you like those numbers. You don't like the 10 INTs.
No.
Too many mistakes.
Too many mistakes and bad decisions with the ball in his hand. What really has to happen with Zach Smith is he has to understand this offense a little bit better, and that it really falls on Coach Nixon and teaching them the offense. Like I said earlier in this segment, we're talking about the blitzes, and you'll see in NFL games, and I know we're trying to run a mixed offense. A lot of times the quarterbacks will wave a route off because if a safety walks down in the box and you don't have a blocker to pick him up, that receiver knows that he has to run a different route because I can't beat this guy with the block because everyone is already assigned to their defensive man, so you have to beat him with the ball. Sometimes you know that, and you see quarterbacks wave out like, hey, we got this guy picked up. We got something for him, and Zach Smith doesn't know much of the offense to do that. Last week, we had everyone blocking, and the defense still got home. And receivers running goals down the field. What are we doing? We have to be able to understand the adjustments and the hot routes. That that is solely on Zach Smith and the receivers having a good understanding of what they need to do with the ball when a blitz presents.
And I think, Julie, you talked about this. This is the first big game here in a while. Number 3, Oklahoma. Obviously a big game in terms of the Big 12, but Baylor needs a win at home soon.
Yeah, and just to get the fans excited again. Like I said, it's one thing for fans to say, yeah, we're going to give this new coach time. We're going to give these new players time. We got a lot of freshmen. But then when they go out there and they get beat by 2 teams, like Liberty and UTSA, fans are not happy about that. They're thinking those should be automatic wins, whether it's a new program with a bunch of freshmen. We're talking about the Big 12. Look at this stadium behind us. They got the best facilities in the entire nation. And today, we were all just discussing, there's a lot of OU fans that are out here. And so I'll be interested to see how long do the Baylor fans, really hang on. If these teams keep coming out here and losing, and granted, playing the number 3 team in the nation is not really a good chance to get your first big win at home, but I think they've got to show a lot of improvement to keep these fans hanging on.
Well, here's what Matt Rule had to say earlier this week about his team's play against Oklahoma and his hopes that Baylor will rise to the occasion.
I think you hope that great players and great teams bring out the best in your team. And I think it's a chance for our guys. As I said to our guys, we were sitting here last year. I wasn't here, obviously, but I would say we were sitting here last year at 3-0 entering conference play. And we got into conference play, and we went 3-6 in conference play. So now we're sitting here at 0-3. We're still 0-0 in the conference. Go try to win conference games.
That's exactly what they're going to try to do today. You and I had a discussion this week, and I want to share part of that. As much as people want to give the new coaching staff a little bit of time, this is still a Big 12 football team that they're putting on the field every week. Yep. At some point, they have to act like a Big 12 football team.
Yep. No, I definitely agree. If we were 2-1, it makes the world of difference in being patient with a coach. And it's a lot of knee-jerk reaction, to be honest. But we have to see something, and in today's climate in college football, it has to be in the win and loss column. I know that, Matt Rule is doing a great job of building young men up, and he has a track record of that. But we need to win football games, And I know this next 3-game stretch is going to be really tough before we come back home and have an opportunity to win a game. Not saying we don't have an opportunity in these next 3 games, but we're going to play some really, really talented teams. So we need to start winning, and I don't know if that happens today.
And I would like to say I agree with Terrence that in a normal college football situation, you're only talking about wins and losses. If you come out and you're in the Big 12 and you lose to a team like Liberty, you might get fired after that game. But this is obviously a very different situation, what Baylor is dealing with in hiring a new coach and in trying to rebuild the program. So I think that's where the big wild card is how long will fans continue coming to the game and supporting a coach if they're not winning.
Well, I saw something, and maybe you can touch on this week. Somebody wrote, Matt Rule was brought here to win football games, but he was also brought here, at least in the first year, to do a lot more than that. And off the field, he's doing everything that he's supposed to be doing.
So I think there's 2 different people that we're talking about pleasing here. Fans, which, I mean, Baylor's 0-3. Heck yeah, they're not excited about that. I wouldn't be either. And the people who hire and fire, and that's Mac Rhodes. If Mac Rhodes is happy with the way he's running this program right now, he got a 7-year contract. So and there's a reason he got a 7-year contract. Is try and work things out. I mean, yes, I know contracts can be bought out, that kind of deal, but he has a honeymoon with the folks that matter right now.
And I think you and I, Julie, were talking this week about something you read from Grant Taft's family that kind of touched on the same thing.
Right after the loss to UTSA, one of Grant Taft's daughters posted something which eventually ended up in the Waco Tribune-Herald as well, and she basically said, hey, Matt Rule is coming in and he's got these young children, and I remember being in that same situation when my dad, Grant Taft, came in to try to take over a program that frankly was bad. And so she was just saying, hey, fans, hang on, it really is a process. Let's give this coach some time before we all start turning on him, and let's remember that we're a Christian institution. And a lot of us, when we're on message boards, are not acting like it.
Yeah.
So it was, Can you believe it?
I mean, listen, I'm a Christian, and that Christian talk is played out with me. And as far as expectations, I talked to about this with my wife with our kids. She wants excuses and not set expectations. The expectation is for you to get college football players and for you to make them men. That's the expectation, and then to go out there and win football games. So forget about what these young men have went through. You got some 10-3s, Cotton. You got some Big 12 championship players on this team. Play with what you have and go out there and win football games. In the climate of Grant Taft, when Grant Taft coached football, when coaches got a contract, they were going to coach for 25, 30 years, the Joe Pauls of the world. You're not going to have that anymore. So the patience of, giving, Matt Rule with the talent that he has and the talent that will come in, it's going to take him time to get and, fill out what his philosophy is for Baylor. But you're supposed to win, some games and throughout that. Trust the process.
So what do you think? How long do you think that it's fair to give a coach like that to get some wins out there?
For one, we got to put on a better defensive unit first game of the season. And we got it might have been a perfect storm. We wasn't really sure what we were going to do on offense and defense, and Liberty had a well thought out
veteran group.
A great game plan. And then UTSA offense production went to crap, to be honest. And then we go up to Duke, and we can't pick up a blitz to save our life. Yes, our defense is getting really, really good, but our defense gave us a chance to beat UTSA with 2 minutes left, and the ball's on the 40. And we go out there and throw, and we got 2 minutes left, no timeouts, and we go out there and throw the ball deep 3 times. It's college football, so maybe we got to understand those rules. First down, stop the clock in college football, and also drop passes, stop the clock. So go out there, run your full offense, and I'm not a coach. So I'm just talking from a former player perspective. But you can't go out there and rush and go, throw a 40-yard bomb, and we score, and we give UTSA the ball back with 1 minute and 45 seconds. Because that's not how you win football games. That's not how veteran coaches and experienced coaches win football games.
And I know a lot of people around here want to win this week, and it's a tall order against OU, a team that has been very, very good. All right, when we come back on Baylor Game Day, we're going to hear from head coach Matt Rule as he talks about what he expects today on his way into the stadium. You're watching Baylor Game Day live on the CW12 and Fox Sports from Touchdown Alley.
Hi, I'm KJ Smith, Baylor University defensive end, and you're watching Baylor Game Day.
Welcome back to Baylor Game Day, live in Touchdown Alley on CW12 and Fox Sports as we get you set for Baylor and Oklahoma coming up here tonight at 5:30. Matt Rule is in the locker room getting ready with his football team. We caught up with him as he was making his way in. We go to Tyler Bolton with more with Matt Rule.
Head coach Matt Rule joining us here on Baylor Game Day. Coach, everybody's very familiar with Oklahoma quarterback Baker Mayfield, 10 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. What is the key to stopping him today?
I think you have to take away their run game, try to make it one-dimensional, and keep him in the pocket. He's so dynamic with his ability to move, make plays down the field. So I don't think you can necessarily stop him. You just have to limit him and take away some of his weapons.
How important is it for you guys to stay disciplined?
Well, I think that's the key in football always. And just, they're so good you can't give them anything. Make them earn everything. Go out there and fight to earn things yourselves, but we just can't give them a free one on a trick play or a blown assignment.
You got a couple guys coming back today, Terrence Williams, Braylon Arnold among the few. How healthy are they? How much do you expect them to make an impact?
Braylon will start for us and Terrence will play a lot. Our medical staff here has done a great job in terms of not letting them go before they're ready, but they're definitely ready, so they'll both play a lot.
That's head coach Matt Rule joining us here on Baylor Game Day. Bears and Sooners, a couple hours. Troy, send it back to you.
All right, Tyler, thank you very much. He touched on Baker Mayfield. He said this week, Matt Rule, that one of the things that makes him truly special is that he can not only throw and run with the football, but he can do both at the same time when he's rolling out of the pocket and find guys downfield. That's what makes him elite. Can they stop Baker Mayfield today?
Stop?
Slow
no.
down?
I mean, he's the guy that's one of the 3 or 4 best players in college football. You're not going to stop him.
Right.
But like you said, don't maybe force a couple turnovers. If you're Baylor, Baylor on paper is not as good as OU. I think we can all agree on that. How do you beat a team like OU? Force a couple turnovers, get them out of their rhythm, make a special teams play. I mean, so yeah, that's how you beat a team like that. So hit them hard, get them, get a fumble, that kind of deal. But
get Chris Platt open down the field maybe once or twice, or 4 times.
Yeah, but that's defensively being able to beat OU. We're talking about stopping Baker Mayfield. The thing, you have to disrupt what he does well, which is create plays after the pocket has collapsed.
Yeah.
So if we pressure inside and the outside linebackers or the defensive end Lou contain, and he's out on the edge, he becomes a run threat and he becomes a pass threat, and very good at both. So then how you beat Baker Mayfield, you keep him in the pocket and you force him to make difficult throws in the back end by confusing him with secondary schemes.
Yeah, we'll see if Baylor can do that today against Oklahoma. All right, it's time to go to the third member of our team out on the scene out there. It's Elliott Coffey and Taylor Williamson standing by with the coffee break.
All right, thanks a lot, Troy. Well, as you said, I'm joined by former Baylor linebacker Elliott Coffey right in front of the marina right here. Yeah. Elliott, I was at that game last week. You got to watch that game last week. Same result, but it felt a little bit different, especially when it came to the defense for Baylor.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think week 1 against Liberty, we felt disheveled. I think week 2 against UTSA, at times, at best, we looked inconsistent. Last week against Duke, that's the first time that we really saw this defense click. We saw calls actually come to fruition. We saw some games, some different blitzes actually hit home. I think, at least from a former linebacker standpoint, I walk away from that game feeling much more confident that this defense and that Phil Snow will have the ability to really propel this defense to be a real showstopper in the Big 12. We'll go ahead and we'll take a look at some film from last week that shows us just how well they did.
This is a Baylor defense that has grown by leaps and bounds. Currently ranked as the 110th defense in the country, there are some areas where we have greatly improved. Aggression and the uptick in havoc plays, coupled with getting off the field on 3rd down, has greatly shifted this team's efficiency. Defensive leader and play caller Clay Johnston had his best performance yet, with 13 tackles, 3 for loss, and a sack, as well as 2 quarterback hurries. The defensive slugfest didn't stop with him. This defense now accounts for the 2nd most tackles for loss nationally and are ranked #1 in the Big 12. Linebackers Brian Nance and Eric Ogor each had 2 sacks. Big man Iris Savage Lewis showed up as well with 2.5 sacks. Safety Henry Black manned the deep half last week, producing first Baylor turnover of 2017 by intercepting quarterback Daniel Jones in the end zone. Duke played tough, and unfortunately, 44% of their total offense occurred on only 3 plays. Running back Sean Wilson scored on a 50-yard run and a 65-yard run. Containing these runs, wrapping up, and form tackling will be the key to avoiding these types of plays moving forward.
So obviously they get Tayon Sells back. That'll be big. The red zone defense was great. What do they need to do to stop those big plays?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think the biggest thing that we need to do is we need to wrap up, we need to tackle, we need to gang tackle. Know where your friends are. Know that if you're 3 yards from the sideline, then it's probably going to be easier to get the play to end by pushing him out of bounds than to send him back inside. If you have help on your team inside, you're kind of no man's land, force them back to your help on the inside. Got to make sure we play fundamental football, and we got to wrap up drive-through tackles.
All right, well, good stuff. As always, from a guy who's been out there before. He's Elliott Coffey. I'm Taylor Williamson. We'll have more later in the show, but for now, we're going to send it back over to Touchdown Alley.
All right, Taylor, thank you very much. Maybe it helps that they're fired up. They're out there Getting into it a little bit in midfield, we just found out.
So I saw, I'm friends with the Toby Rowland, who's the play-by-play guy for OU football on the radio, and he had some video from up in the press box. It was all John, but the Baylor players and the OU players at 50-yard line, John, no punches thrown or anything like that.
Can't be a bad thing. Maybe we need him to get a little ticked off.
Yeah, you want to be feisty, and it's easy to get up for big matchups. When you're playing Northwestern State and Liberty, you kind of got to be motivated.
Yeah.
Someone has to kick you out of the door. But when Oklahoma and Texas and all these big schools are coming to town, I mean, you get a little bouncy throughout the week. So I expect Baylor to be a little chippy earlier tonight. And now, and that very well could play in how well we play back and forth with OU in the first half. And, I mean, if it's a close game, it's college football. We got to remember that. So crazy things happen.
Yeah.
But I think
Baylor fans will be excited about a little chippiness.
I couldn't imagine you talking trash and bouncing.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't a Christian on the field.
Oh, Terrence.
Most of the time.
Don't
Hey,
listen
just to be
Terrence.
fair, that, like, players chirping in midfield probably happens every other game in big boy football.
Terrence never did.
Man, but let's be honest. A lot of these guys, they played Texas high school football. So, I mean, they probably were teammates in high school or they grew up together. So they're probably just jawing back and forth, just having fun. But it helps enthuse them and get ready to – because I'm going to go show up my homeboy. I mean, you stayed at my house all summer one summer, but, hey, I got to go do you in front of mama.
Well, we'll see how
that's what I always say.
Why don't they have Terrence give the pep talk?
I always do. Yeah, I know. Taylor should Terrence should be giving the pregame speeches.
He really should.
Yeah, my TED Talks.
All right,
get them bouncy.
Baylor Game Day will be right back from Touchdown Alley. You're watching on CW12 and Fox Sports. We'll be back in just a moment.
You're watching Baylor Game Day on Fox Sports and KWTX News 10.
Welcome back to Baylor Game Day here on the CW12 and Fox Sports as we get you ready for Baylor and Oklahoma. They kick off at 5:30 tonight. It's time to go behind the green and gold. For that, we turn it over to Tyler Bolden, who joins us live. Tyler?
Yeah, Troy, Baylor fans are all too familiar with the thinning of the 2017 recruiting class. Following the decommitment from Kellen Mond, Jalen Petrie was the only initial commit to stick it out in a recruiting class that was initially 34th. That dropped all the way to 94th. Jalen Petrie is the focus of our Behind the Green and Gold feature. Offensively, Baylor loved having this number 24 make the transition from basketball to football to shore up the tight end depth. Defensively, Jalen Petrie could have bailed on Baylor during the rocky 2016 season, but was the only initial commit from the 2017 recruiting class to really trust the process.
Jalen was the one kid that was still here. So that gave us something to build off of, and that gave us a basis. And he's one of our kind of guys. He's one of our guys. I mean, he's one of us. And so he'll just go like this over his career. He's just too loyal and too tough and too instinctive.
We have some hope that we know that we're going to it's not going to be easy. Everything is not going to be easy. We're going to just take it step by step and just get to that point where we need to be, and eventually we'll get there.
During most of his junior year of high school, Petrie wasn't there on the field at Stafford High School, but that was because of a torn ACL. Regardless, the previous coaching staffs still felt confident in his abilities.
It was very important in my decision. I feel like that played a big part, them being loyal to me, so I felt like it was just my part to just do the same and just come here ready to work.
Behind the Green and Gold, sponsored by the Skin and Body Refinery. Refine your natural beauty. Troy, let's send it back to you.
All right, in this week's Vault, we take you back, not too far, back to 2011. Baylor here at home against OU, and it was that Heisman moment for RG3, Dan, the big throw to Terrence Williams to win the football game against Oklahoma right here in Waco. What a huge play that was. What a big moment in 2011.
Bob Stoops called timeout, if I remember correctly, and gave Robert a chance to make that play. A great career for Bob Stoops. Bad decision there, letting RG3 throw that ball.
It worked out for Baylor then. We'll see how it works out today. The Vault is brought to you by 855bugs.com. And with that as a segue, we go to Seth Russell, who's here with us. Good to see you again, bud.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Welcome back to McLean Stadium and Touchdown Alley. Good to see you. So tell people, you guys have gotten married, you and your new wife, and you've been a busy guy since you finished playing last year. Talk about what you're doing a little bit.
Absolutely. You know, I've been teetering back and forth, about football. Been praying about it a lot, talking with family, support staff, and just kind of, this past Monday, decided to medically retire. I mean, it was definitely a tough decision, but I'm happy with it. I'm ready to move on. I mean, I'm married to the woman I love, and as long as we can go through all this and learn and make mistakes and grow from it, that's what matters.
Good deal. All right, so a little update on what you're doing now. You got married. Let's talk about this football team right here. Obviously 0-3. Zach Smith, he's the quarterback now, but you've been around him before. What are some of his strengths he brings to the table?
He's got probably one of the strongest arms I've ever seen.
Really?
I mean, he makes mine look like a noodle, which is
I'm not sure about that.
But he's got some great mechanics. I mean, he's been able to move. Last year he wasn't healthy, and this year he's been able to really get healthy, get his feet back underneath him, and I think we'll see that today, moving around a little bit. But he's a great guy. I love him. I mean, I consider him a brother. I mean, all those guys on the field that are going through this tough time, I consider them brothers, and he's just one of them.
Is he one of the guys that you would say could be the face of this program in the next couple of years?
Absolutely.
Is he that good?
I mean, any of those guys. I think, with Charlie, Anu, I mean, any of those guys that are coming in, I mean, they have a chance. I mean, it's an open spot, and it's just whoever shows up, who makes those big plays, and I'm excited to see what they can do.
Seth, when you first sat down, one of the first things I noticed is your scar here from the neck surgery, and you got an even larger one on the back. You also, you just had a tough year. You also had ankle surgery, and again, you mentioned that. That's on behalf, I think, of everyone. I just want to say, thank you for what you did. You went through one of the toughest times I can only imagine a quarterback ever experiencing in college football, and you handled it with such grace. And every Baylor fan has so much respect for you. So before I move any further, I just wanted, on behalf of fans, I know I could say, thanks for what you did for Baylor University over the last couple of years. And now to the more important thing, wedding details.
Oh, yeah.
We've got some great photos, and of course your wife would probably kill you if you got out of here without talking about your amazing wedding day. Tell us a little bit about your wife. She's a Baylor graduate, played soccer, and then tell us about this beautiful wedding that we have some photos from.
Absolutely. We met freshman year, and it's kind of cool how we met. So we have a freshman etiquette class that we have to take for all the sports. And she comes crutching down the hall, down the stairs, and we're in the team meeting room. And I kind of hear, the door close, and all the front row is full, and I'm sitting on the front row. And she kind of comes down, and I kind of look up to my left, and I kind of got up, and I gave her my seat, just to be a gentleman, moved to the next row, and she kind of had a little spark in her eye, I guess, a little bit, and I had a little in mine. And luckily, we had a good football friend kind of hook us up, and it was history from there, and the wedding was awesome. We had everybody show up that we wanted to show up. It couldn't have gone any more perfect. We were kind of scared about the rain possibilities, but it was fun. We loved it. It was hot. I think there's some pictures in here maybe that the sun was in my eyes, so I had some tears kind of coming down.
Oh, is that what that was?
Yeah, it was the sun and some bugs.
Yeah,
all around. Yeah. But no, it was great. I loved every second of it, and I wouldn't trade it. I'd do it all over again.
Hey, Seth, now that I'm looking at pictures of your bride, I know why you gave her your seat, right? I mean, you're a gentleman, but let's be honest, you got a beautiful woman on your hands, too.
Thank you.
And you guys are in Houston, is that right?
We are. We're in the spring area. Yes, sir.
Well, we're looking forward to a little football. We're happy to have you back in McLean Stadium tonight. Thank you so much for being back. Appreciate your time today.
And Seth, before you go, what are your plans from here?
Just find a job. A few interviews coming up, just kind of getting into the real world, possibly coaching, possibly, property management, something. Just something I can be active in and, really kind of use my skills of, and the stuff that I've learned over the past couple of years here at Baylor and be able to, put it back into the community and to just help out any way I can.
Well, this is on statewide, so Seth Russell is available to work for you. That's all I'm saying.
He's for a job.
Unrestricted free agent right here.
He hasn't retired from all of it. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Well, thank you, man. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Looking forward to seeing you here as the time goes by in the next couple of years.
Down is not where I belong. This aching heart won't turn to stone. There's a fire inside these bones. It was meant to be. I see your world still full of light. How could I ever been so blind? I still haven't lost my fight that haunts me in my sleep. I feel like waking up. I've had this dream before. I take these footsteps, go higher, go higher. I won't give empty smile, walk down this lonely soul. I take these footsteps, go higher,
Welcome back to Baylor Game Day. We're about 40 minutes from kickoff. Baylor and OU tonight, 5:30 inside McLean Stadium. Now let's get you caught up on everything else going on around the Big 12 and this week's Big 12 scoreboard. All right, so one of the early games today, Texas Tech at the University of Houston. And this one, I mean, I think a lot of people thought it could be 70-65. It didn't quite go that way, but second quarter, Desmond Nisby, the 3-yard touchdown run for Texas Tech. They were up 13-0. All
right, but the Houston offense would finally get going. Remember this guy, Kyle Allen, transferred from Texas A&M. A little bubble pass to Daria, easy for me to say, King. 18 yards on the bubble screen. It's a 13-10 ball game at that point.
Not a lot of big plays, but Texas Tech's Nick Shimonek makes one to Kiki Kuti. 78 yards on the long touchdown strike. That made it 20-10. And Texas Tech went on to beat Houston 27-24 today. So a win the Big 12 needed,
That's
and they
a pretty
got
good
it
win
today.
for Tech.
Yeah, Houston has beaten some top 5 conference teams over the last few years. Elsewhere in the Big 12, the big one going on right now, TCU and Oklahoma State. And right now, that game, TCU getting the best of Oklahoma State. I think we're a little surprised by that.
27-17, TCU leading Oklahoma State about halfway through the third quarter right now. But Gary Patterson, there's not many better defensive minds in the country than him. And so far, it's been working well for him, holding Oklahoma State to just 17 points.
Hey, and look, that's why Terrence wore that tie, right?
That's right.
There you go.
Yeah. He's thinking upset.
Shout out Gary Patterson.
Yeah, West Virginia got the best of Kansas today at Kansas. That one was close up until the last half quarter. Kansas a little better this year.
Kansas is a little better. I mean, they got a great OC and Sonny Cumbie. And, you know, I think that as we continue to watch that team develop, A&M, former offensive coordinator, now their head coach, I think they're going to be really good on offense. The thing with Kansas, it's hard to recruit football players in there. So you're going to have to build that thing from the ground up with a lot of core football players.
The Big 12 scoreboard this week brought to you by Brazos Valley Carpet One. And we look forward to seeing what happens in the Big 12 as we go through the rest of the season and the opener for Baylor right here tonight against OU. When we come back, we'll wrap up the show. We'll get you set for Oklahoma and Baylor with the 2-minute warning on the other side of the break. You're watching Baylor Game Day live from Touchdown Alley on CW12 Fox Sports.